everybody's in t-shirts and shorts. We're sipping on tea, and some nice pastries, and having a good conversation on how to address home ownership in the San Joaquin Valley. Before I get too far into my spiel, I want to take a moment to thank you all for being here, but I also especially thank Carol and Visionary for allowing us to be here today. And
welcome to Visionary Home Builders. You are formally sitting in the Visionary Home Builder Home Ownership and Counseling Center. We've had a really rough 3 years working with foreclosure, so it's very great to be here today to talk about strategy to get people back into home ownership. We want to get rid of foreclosure counseling. We want our pre-purchase counseling blooming and blossoming in here. So I welcome you all, and let's have a great day. And with our great host here, Daryl, he's been up and down the valley, so I think he's got a lot of great ideas to share with us as well. Welcome.
Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, the restrooms are around the corner. However, you will need to get a key from the lady at the front desk.
I have one.
How about that? We have our own personal key for the day. So I'd like to also take a moment to thank Cynthia Abbott with the Sacramento HUD's office being here today, and I would like to go ahead and give her a few minutes to say hi. And
glad you reminded me I'm on the agenda.
not for the next 20 minutes.
Okay, well, I can probably talk. Good morning. I'm Cynthia Abbott, the director of the field office in Sacramento for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And glad to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of names and faces of folks I've talked on the phone like Fred and never actually met in person, so it's really great to be here. You know, the mission of HUD is, and I know probably all of you have worked with us or are hoping to work with us. Our mission has been primarily, since our starting, to be all about housing and community development, and of course we have urban in our name as well. And so that's always been sort of interesting dynamic for me, having moved to Sacramento in 1999 to join the department, and spent about 20 years in Pasadena working on homeless issues and housing and neighborhood organizing. And so it's been interesting to come to Sacramento and really learn about rural and semi-rural communities, what your interests are, what works for you, what your challenges are. And as a federal agency, you know, the way that HUD works, we're a funder, we provide monies, and I'm all about that. You know, my focus is to bring as many resources that we've sent to Washington, D.C. back to the Sacramento jurisdiction. We have 23 counties in our jurisdiction. San Joaquin is one of them. And I think we've been doing a pretty good job of that. I think there's room for improvement. We probably need to strengthen our relationship with the state of California. I'm glad Maria's here. And trying to make sure there's, and I can talk about this later too, but we don't have a lot of information about the 2010 budget that we can release right now. It's been signed and appropriated, but there's a lot of new money in there, particularly for housing counseling. So we need to look at that and make sure that we're bringing those dollars where they're needed. And mostly what has been interesting to me is to really work from an asset-based perspective. You guys have a lot of, I've just met the most energized, enthusiastic folks in the different rural communities, whether it's Butte County, Placer up by Tahoe, you know, look at communities like Truckee and here in Stockton. And so I really welcome the opportunity to be here today and listen. Be part of, I think what is really more of an intention to listen. Because I think that there's an opportunity for us to make some improvements here and to build on what we've got going and how best that HUD can be a partner with you, both from a funding standpoint, but also to help communicate with you what other communities are doing around the country. If we need to communicate with you what's happening at HUD, I'm sure the 2010 budget's going to be really interesting to you all to find out more about the NOFAs that'll be coming, the Notice of Funding Availability, the monies that'll be available. But also to help coordinate if we need to. For me, it's all about relationships, and I know Daryl contacted me and said, hey, I don't know Stockton San Joaquin that much. I'm like, hey, I know just, I know you've got a good start with Visionary, but there's a whole host of other folks I knew that would be great to have around the table. So I'm really grateful that they did some outreach to y'all and got you here. So I'm really grateful for that as well. My predecessor used to say, hi, I'm from the federal government, I'm here to help. Just kind of a cynical view, and I haven't quite figured out a better way to say that. But that's really the bottom line.
Reverse it. We're here to help you.
Yeah, that would be good too. And that's a really good point, Maria, because our success really, it's all about you. You all make our mission happen. We couldn't do it without our partners at the local level. And I can talk about this later too if it's appropriate. For those that have not heard yet, sort of where the new administration is, how many people heard the president's speech to the U.S. Conference of Mayors last week on CNN? You might, or rent it.
Read it.
Oh, read it. I thought you said you rented it. Wow, pretty hard up.
Don't have anything else going on in life.
Yeah. Maybe we should send that out on the network. But what was interesting is that there is an emphasis in this administration, and the HUD has taken the lead on the Sustainable Communities Initiative, which, I remember back in the 80s and 90s we were doing that in Pasadena in Southern California, looking at integrating transit and housing and energy conservation. I think is kind of the new piece of that. It's kind of a new component to sustainable communities that maybe we didn't talk about before, but that's really key for HUD. And for the president, this whole concept of place-based planning, that we're really about, it's not about policy and projects, it's really about people and place. And that's really where this administration is looking. And that was actually a letter that was sent out from the president, from the White House, to all of his cabinet members, all of his executives. That's a requirement, that everything that we're doing, planning, funding, monitoring our programs, that we're all really focused on place. And so those are a couple of the key directions that we've been given going forward. So we're HUD. We've been around. We're going to continue to do business as we've done business, and I think there's going to be some innovations in how we do business with you. So I'm encouraged and energized by that, and look forward to working with you in partnership. And before I sit down, have I gone 20 minutes?
It's fine.
Seriously.
It's fine. No.
Wanted to also just introduce Roxanne Campanella, who is with, she's actually outstationed from headquarters